If these signs appear, you're experiencing a huge reality shift. There comes a moment in life when everything begins to feel different. It's subtle at first, like a whisper in the background of your reality, a faint but undeniable feeling that something is shifting beneath the surface of your existence. You wake up one day and the world doesn't quite look the same. The things that used to excite you no longer hold the same thrill. The conversations that once felt engaging now seem shallow. The people in your life, some of them feel distant, as if they are fading into the background of a life you no longer belong to. And the strangest part, you can't quite explain why. If you've ever had this feeling, if you've ever sensed that something was shifting but couldn't put it into words, you are not imagining things. You are experiencing a reality shift, a profound transformation in the way your consciousness interacts with the world around you. And here's what most people don't realize: reality shifts don't just happen randomly. They are triggered by something deep within you, a calling from your higher self, a signal that you are moving into a new phase of your existence. The universe is adjusting, recalibrating, responding to the changes happening inside you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But the real question is, how do you know for sure? How do you distinguish between an ordinary phase of life and a true reality shift? The signs are there, but only if you know how to see them. There are moments when the fabric of your old reality begins to dissolve, when the things you once took for granted suddenly seem foreign, when you start to feel like you are living in a dream that no longer makes sense. Have you ever found yourself questioning things you never questioned before? Have you caught yourself staring at the sky, at nature, at the world around you, feeling as though something about it is different, but you can't explain what? This is the first sign. Your perception is widening. The lens through which you view reality is expanding, and because of that, the world itself is beginning to look different to you. But the shift isn't just external, it happens inside you as well. You start to feel disconnected from your past self, as if the person you used to be is dissolving. The things that once triggered you no longer hold power over you. The fears that used to control you now seem distant. The need to prove yourself, to chase external validation, to fit into roles that society has given you, it all starts to fade. And in its place, a new awareness emerges. A realization that you are more than who you thought you were. That reality is not as fixed as you once believed. That you are not just a participant in life, you are a creator of it. But reality shifts are not always easy. In fact, they can be deeply unsettling. When your consciousness begins to expand, it creates a rift between the old and the new. And in that space, you may feel lost. You may feel detached from your old life, but not yet fully anchored in your new one. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing you must jump, but not quite sure where you will land. This is the most crucial moment, because this is where most people turn back. They feel the discomfort of change, and they retreat into the familiar, even if the familiar no longer serves them. But the ones who move forward, the ones who embrace the shift, are the ones who step into something extraordinary. So ask yourself, have you been feeling this pull? Have you been sensing that something in your life is shifting, but you don't yet understand what it means? Have you found yourself questioning your reality in ways you never did before? If so, you are not alone. And most importantly, you are not crazy. You are awakening. You are stepping into a new level of awareness. You are experiencing a reality shift that is guiding you towards something greater. But here is the deeper truth. A reality shift is not just something that happens to you. It is something that invites you to participate. The universe may open the door, but you must choose to walk through it. And that choice, that decision to embrace the unknown, That is what determines whether you truly step into your highest potential or stay trapped in the cycles of your old reality. So now I ask you the most important question of all. Are you ready to let go of the old world and step into the new one? The breaking of illusions, why reality feels different and what it means for you. There comes a time in every person's life when they begin to see through the illusions that once felt so real. It doesn't happen all at once, it creeps in slowly, like a quiet realization that whispers in the background of your thoughts. One day you wake up and realize that the things you once believed in so strongly no longer hold the same weight. The rules you followed, the expectations you lived by, the identity you built for yourself, it all starts to feel like a story you were told rather than a truth you chose. And that is where the shift begins. At first, it can feel unsettling. You look around and notice that the world no longer feels solid. The things people obsess over, money, status, validation, meaningless arguments, they all seem strangely insignificant. You start to wonder why people are so caught up in things that don't truly matter. You see them chasing goals that don't bring them happiness, engaging in conflicts that drain their energy, living in patterns that keep them stuck. And you realize that you used to be one of them. You used to believe in the same illusions, but something inside you has changed. And now you can't unsee it. This is one of the biggest signs of a reality shift, the breaking of illusions. The structures of your old reality begin to crumble, and in their place, something new starts to emerge. But here's the part that most people don't talk about. This process isn't always beautiful. It can be painful. It can feel like losing yourself, like standing in the ruins of everything you once believed and not knowing what comes next. And that's because, in many ways, you are losing yourself, or at least the version of yourself that was built on illusions. Think about it. How much of your life was shaped by beliefs that were never truly yours? How many decisions did you make based on fear rather than truth? How often did you shrink yourself to fit into a world that never fully resonated with you? A reality shift forces you to confront these questions, and for many, the confrontation is terrifying. Because once you see through the illusion, you can never go back to the way things were. You can never unknow what you now know. But here's the secret that most people never realize: this breaking of illusions is not a loss. It is a liberation. You are not losing yourself, you are meeting yourself for the first time. You are not falling apart. You are being stripped down to your essence, to the part of you that has always existed beneath the layers of conditioning. And the deeper you go into this process, the more you begin to understand that reality is not something happening to you, it is something you are actively creating. And that is where the real power comes in. Because once you break free from the illusions that kept you trapped, you gain something priceless: the ability to shape your own reality. Not in some abstract, wishful thinking way, but in a tangible, undeniable way. You begin to notice that your thoughts shape your experiences, that your energy influences your surroundings, that the people who once fit into your life no longer align with your new frequency. And as you step further into this awareness, something extraordinary happens. The universe starts responding to you in ways it never did before. Have you noticed it? The strange synchronicities. The way certain people seem to drift away while others appear out of nowhere. The way opportunities arise just when you need them. The way your intuition has become sharper, your sense of knowing stronger. These are not coincidences. These are signs that your reality is shifting at a fundamental level. The external world is rearranging itself to match your internal evolution. And this is where you are faced with the most important decision of all. Do you trust the shift, or do you resist it? Because make no mistake, you can resist it. Many people do. They feel the pull of transformation, but they cling to the familiar. They hold on to relationships that no longer serve them, jobs that drain them, beliefs that limit them. They sense that their old world is collapsing, but instead of allowing it to fall, they try to rebuild it with the same broken pieces. And in doing so, they trap themselves in a loop, repeating the same patterns, living the same cycles, never fully stepping into the new reality that is waiting for them. But you don't have to be one of them. You don't have to resist the shift. You can choose to embrace it, to surrender to the process, to trust that what is falling away is making space for something greater, to understand that every ending is also a beginning, and that the discomfort you feel now is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is being reborn. So ask yourself, what illusions am I still holding on to? What parts of my old reality am I afraid to let go of? And what would happen if I finally allowed myself to step fully into the unknown? Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you are meant to live is your willingness to let go of the life you were conditioned to accept. And the moment you make that choice, the moment you decide to stop resisting and start trusting, is the moment everything begins to change. The collapse of the old, while letting go feels like losing everything, but leads to true freedom. There is a point in every reality shift where the weight of transformation becomes almost unbearable. It is the moment when everything that once felt stable begins to fall apart. The friendships you thought would last forever begin to fade. The career path that once seemed so promising no longer excites you. The routines that once brought comfort now feel suffocating. And the hardest part, you can't explain why. You just know that something inside you no longer aligns with the life you were living before. This is the collapse of the old reality, and it is one of the most painful yet necessary stages of transformation, because before you can fully step into the new, the old must dissolve. And that dissolution can feel like losing everything. It can feel like standing in the wreckage of a life you once built, wondering why it no longer fits, why you no longer feel like the person who created it. And in that space of uncertainty, fear creeps in. The mind starts searching for something to hold onto, something familiar, something that makes sense. But deep down, you know there is no going back. Because even if you tried to return to the old, it would never feel the same. It would never fit the way it once did. Why does this happen? Why does a reality shift require such a deep level of loss before it can bring renewal? Because transformation is not about adding more to your life, it is about removing what no longer serves you. It is about stripping away the layers of conditioning, the roles you played to make others comfortable, the version of yourself that was built on fear and survival rather than truth and expansion. And that process is not gentle. It does not come with a manual. It does not happen in a way that makes perfect sense. It happens through disruption, through discomfort, through the unraveling of everything that was never truly yours to begin with. This is why so many people resist it, because the ego clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. It tells you that letting go is dangerous, that change is something to be feared, that you should fight to hold onto the life you have always known. But what the ego does not understand is that the collapse is happening for you, not to you. That the things falling away are not punishments, but liberations. That the emptiness you feel now is not a void, but a clearing, a sacred space, being prepared for something far greater than what you are leaving behind. And this is where trust becomes everything. Because in the midst of the collapse, when nothing makes sense, when the future feels uncertain, when it seems like you are losing more than you are gaining, you will be tempted to retreat, to cling to the past, to rebuild what is meant to be left behind. But if you do that, you will only delay the inevitable. You will only prolong the suffering, because the reality shift is not something you can escape, it is something you must surrender to. So what do you do? How do you navigate the collapse without losing yourself in the fear of it? You shift your perspective. You stop seeing endings as losses and start seeing them as initiations. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? and start asking, what is this making space for? You remind yourself that every great transformation in history, every hero's journey, every spiritual awakening has required the same thing: letting go. Not just of external things, but of the internal attachments that keep you small. The need for certainty, the fear of the unknown, the belief that your worth is tied to what you have rather than who you are becoming. And when you do this, when you stop resisting the collapse and start embracing it, something incredible happens. The fear begins to dissolve. The pain begins to transform. And in its place, a quiet knowing emerges. A sense that even though everything is changing, you are exactly where you are meant to be. That even though the old is falling apart, the new is already forming in ways you cannot yet see. And that is the truth most people miss. The new reality does not appear instantly. It does not arrive as soon as the old disappears. There is a space in between, a sacred void, a period of transition where you are no longer who you were but not yet who you are becoming. And this space is where the real magic happens, because it is in this space that you get to choose, to decide with full awareness who you want to be, to set intentions not from a place of fear, but from a place of clarity, to step into the next phase of your life, not because you are running from the past, but because you are being called towards something greater. So ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that is keeping me from stepping fully into the new? What am I afraid to let go of, even though I know it no longer serves me? And what would happen if, just for a moment, I trusted that everything falling away is making space for something beyond my imagination? Because the truth is, you are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself. And once you fully embrace that, the collapse will no longer feel like an ending. It will feel like the beginning of the life you were always meant to live. The threshold of a new reality. How to step into your highest timeline with absolute certainty. There is a moment at the end of every great transformation when the past is no longer holding you, but the future has not yet fully revealed itself. It is the space between worlds, the moment of stillness before the next chapter begins. And this is where most people struggle the most, because the mind craves certainty, but a reality shift requires trust. You are standing at the threshold of a new reality, but you cannot take the old version of yourself with you. You must step forward with nothing but faith, nothing but the deep, undeniable knowing that something greater is waiting for you on the other side. This is where everything you have been through begins to make sense. The discomfort, the detachment, the breaking of illusions, the collapse of the old, it was all leading to this. It was all preparing you to step into a new timeline, one where you are no longer controlled by fear, no longer bound by the limitations of your past, no longer playing small to fit into a world that was never meant for you. And now, the only thing left to do is decide, will you take the step? Because here is the truth that most people never fully grasp: your reality does not change until you do. The shift is not just something that happens to you, it is something you must actively step into. And that step is not external, it is internal. It is a decision, a moment of absolute clarity where you declare with full certainty that you are ready to release the attachments that kept you stuck, ready to trust yourself in a way you never have before, ready to walk into the unknown, not with fear, but with excitement. Because deep down, you know that what is ahead of you is far greater than anything you are leaving behind. But here is where many people hesitate. They wait for a sign, for external proof that it is safe to move forward. They convince themselves that they need more time, more certainty, more validation. But the truth is, the shift does not happen when you are ready, it happens when you decide. The universe is not waiting for the perfect moment, it is waiting for you to say, I am ready now. And the moment you do, the moment you fully commit to stepping into your highest reality, everything begins to move. The right people start appearing. The right opportunities start aligning. The path that once seemed invisible begins to unfold in ways you never could have predicted. And that is the beauty of a reality shift. It does not happen in a logical, linear way. It happens in quantum leaps. One moment, everything feels uncertain, and the next, you find yourself exactly where you were meant to be. This is why trust is so important. Because if you only believe in what you can see, you will always be limited by your current reality. But if you trust in what you feel, in what you know deep within you, you will open yourself to possibilities beyond anything your mind could have imagined. So ask yourself, am I truly ready to step into this new version of myself? Am I willing to trust that everything I have lost, everything that has shifted, everything that has changed was leading me to this moment? Am I willing to take the step, even if I cannot see the entire path ahead? Because the truth is, your new reality is already waiting for you. The only thing left to do is claim it. And when you do, when you fully step into the frequency of your highest potential, you will realize something profound. The shift was never about changing your external world. It was about changing you. And the moment you did that, the world had no choice but to follow.